Greetings, Earthlings. I know it's been a while. Just want to was inspired to make this quick video on what is actually important to learn, whether like for schools of the future, current schools, or if you're learning things on your own. So I would say there's two things. There are really some essential skills, but in my experience, 90% of the stuff you'll probably be learning is not very essential. And principles or ways of thinking. So the ways of thinking is really the big one. So let's do a quick example. This will be a short video. Let's say we're talking about math. So how might that look in the future, in my ideal sort of scenario? Everybody would learn the essential skills: arithmetic, basic geometry, things you might need to know in everyday life, how to calculate a perimeter, area, volume. Why might you need the stuff you're measuring? You live in a house, in an apartment. These are things you actually will use. I think people should be very quickly exposed to what the other areas are. So this is what algebra can do for you. This is what calculus can do for you. This is what all these other areas can do for you. I'm not convinced that everybody needs to study these in depth, other than to have a sense of what they can do if you want to pursue them. So that would be essential skills in math. Probably within, we're talking about 1 to 2 years. I think everybody can learn all the essential skills in math they'll ever need. I know teachers try to tell you that everything is important, but I think people recognize that everything else, most people will never use these things in their lives. So principles, what is the real value for me in math beyond the immediate essential skills that can, when I say principles, these are things that can apply to your life and into other domains. So rigor, math is excellent at defining terms. How does this manifest in problems in real life? So for example, somebody says, I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm independent. So what do they mean by conservative? Does that mean they're on the right wing? Does that mean they're conserving the environment? People are very sloppy in defining terms and being a little more rigorous, saying we don't necessarily have to agree what the terms are, but you can at least make it clear when I say liberal or I would say conservative, here's what I mean. Here's my operating definition. So rigor, super important. Proving, not making assumptions off limited data. Maybe something seems like it works off of like 1 or 2 data points, but it doesn't work. So proving, super important. Efficient, elegant, or heavy duty solutions. Sometimes for an example would be, how many factors does 30 have? And you say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15. These are all, I've manually listed them, hopefully all of them. But then you have, how many factors does a number like 30 million have? Again, I'm not saying this is the most useful question, but studying questions like this can tell you that, you know what, this approach of just listing them out is probably not going to work very well for that number. So it would be nice if whatever solutions we come up with can scale and be very heavy duty and robust. They don't depend just on that specific question, but they apply to many things. Same thing, if you're, let's say you're doing construction or you're doing exercise, I don't know, you're lifting some sort of, you have a barbell with weight, maybe that barbell is kind of flimsy. If you're using a broomstick and now you put weight on the broomstick, it's going to break, right? So we want to make sure that things are heavy duty, that they actually can work. And then another one is this curiosity versus being practical. There might be a balance here or a time for both. I think it's great to be practical, but I think sometimes there's an issue where people try to be too practical and they don't appreciate other people that just want to pursue their curiosity, or let's say whether in the science, the arts. Sometimes, math is a great example where things that started off as curiosities, like square root of -1, ended up being incredibly useful later on. So you don't want to judge things too soon. And basically, math is a great domain, or just any other domain, where sometimes just pursue your curiosity, let it run its course. It might end up being very useful later on. Even if it's not, it's also just fun and that's good enough. Or just the habit of pursuing your curiosity. You never know when something will be useful or when it won't be useful. And sometimes it's hard to tell. So there is a balance to be struck here where if we just pursue, you don't want to be, there's the curiosity killed the cat. So you may not, want to, oh, look, there's some rotting carcass on the street. Let me go and inspect it. Like you may not want to be too curious in dangerous or stupid situations, but generally curiosity is a good thing. And if you're overly obsessed, like I'm only going to be curious if it's immediately practical, that's going to limit how much you can advance or, novel ideas and revolutions and things like that. So anyway, that's just an example with math. You can apply this to anything. This is what I would want students to learn. The essential skills and this way of thinking, because this can apply to any other domain, English, physics, just life, relationships, right? So how does this apply to life and relationships? Let's say proving and rigor. Maybe you have a good relationship with a friend, but one day they said something mean or something happened. This kind of relates to empathy, because if you think about it, if you judge people, they might be having a bad day, right? And so if they said like one weird thing and you're like, you know what, I'm no longer friends with you because of one little slip up, or like you didn't say hi, so I'm never talking to you again. You don't know what's on their mind. So you want to be a little rigorous and test your assumptions and not just jump to conclusions off limited data. All right, that's basically it. That's hopefully giving you a thing, something to think about. So when you're learning a subject, I think most people, when they want to do the 80-20 rule and just get 80% of the results real fast, I think most people just go for what's the essential skills, but see if you can uncover some of that. You get that by doing the subject. You can also get that by listening or reading about what, famous people in the field, important people, like how they approach things. Just see how they operate, and you might get a sense of like, oh wow, this person's very careful to define their terms. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.